Hello students, this video will be a brief history about the causes of World War II. The objectives of this video will be to answer a couple of questions that are asked in the video and bring your responses to class for a small class discussion tomorrow. You will also take notes about the information presented based off of the handout that was passed out in class. This will be a guide to you as to the important things to know for the quiz in class tomorrow. The first cause we will talk about is world trade. The British economy was weakened after World War I. Britain had been the leader in world trade for much of history, and with this weakening the torch was to be passed to the United States, who had profited greatly from World War I. But instead they maintained their isolationism views. After World War I, the Treaty of Versailles crippled the German economy and isolated them. The Great Depression further isolated countries as their economies crashed. Countries began to put up tariffs to try and make more money, which other countries did not have the money to pay, which slowed trade even more. Expansionism is the doctrine of expanding the territorial base of a country. The countries were always looking for new resources, which could not always be acquired through trade and needed military expansion at times. The Germans' views on expansion were to unite all people of German heritage into one country. The surrounding countries in Eastern Europe had many ethnic groups in different countries, and Germany wanted to bring all of the countries with German people under their control. Expansionism was also used to gain more raw materials. Materials were needed to help spur economic and military development, and certain countries had certain materials, so world powers would use their power to take those resources from weaker countries. The Treaty of Versailles after World War I was a stepping stone for further conflict. The Germans were forced to have virtually no military. They were allowed only 100,000 soldiers, 6 battleships, 6 light cruisers, 12 destroyers, 12 torpedo boats, and no submarines. They are also not allowed to have any air force at all. Germany was also forced to pay massive reparations to other countries. The reparations to the victors of the war were estimated to be around $33 billion. Germany was also forced to give up all of their pre-war colonies and territories, which were allowed to become their own nations or given to the victorious countries. All of these reparations were enough to cause German resentment towards the other powers. They looked to rebuild Germany to their former glory and eventually did so. At this time, I'd like you to write your answers to this question. As a citizen of Germany, would you feel that these reparations from the Treaty of Versailles were fair or unfair? Pause the video and take the time to answer the questions and have it ready for class tomorrow. Anti-Semitism is the specific targeting of Jewish people to discriminate against or attack. This was a major view of the Nazi Party, and they also singled out other groups of people to attack and blame for their problems alongside the Jews. The Nazi Party specifically targeted the Jewish people and put legislation through to discriminate against these people. In 1935, the Nazi Party passed the Nuremberg Laws, which put in place race laws that were specific on what certain races were allowed to do in the German state. On November 9, 1938, the Night of Broken Glass occurred, otherwise known as the Kristallnacht. This was when the Nazi Party members attacked Jewish citizens and businesses for no reason other than to cripple their lives and put fear into them. Adolf Hitler rose to power in 1933. Hitler was appointed as Chancellor in January 1930 by Paul von Hindenburg. The Enabling Act of 1933 ensured that Hitler would rise to dictatorial power without any opposition. He gained popular support through his passionate and powerful speeches. He was known as a great speaker and used the media to portray himself in a position of power. His ideas were new and were presented as a way to bring Germany back to its former glory. Hitler is also the author of the book Mein Kampf, which was an autobiography manifesto about his life. He outlines his political ideology and future plans for the nation of Germany. Hitler used his anti-Semitic views as a way to unify the people and place cause for Germany's problems on the Jews. Germany began its quest for unifying all German people by arranging a Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact that would ensure the Russians stayed out of the war. The pact split Poland between Germany and Russia. This pact also would ensure that the Germans only had to fight a one-front war. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland and won the war quickly via the Blitzkrieg tactic of a swift and brutal attack. This put Poland in German hands and gave the easternmost parts to the Soviets. Shortly after this aggression, Britain and France declared war on the Germans, leading to the outbreak of World War II. Question time again. Do you think the German citizens were pro-war or against it when Germany invaded Poland? Pause the video and write your answer down and have it ready for class tomorrow. Lastly, we'll talk about the United States. The United States did not enter the war until hostilities were brought to their shore. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. This attack on U.S. soil brought the U.S. out of its isolationism views. The very next day, the U.S. declared war on Japan and began its own story in the war. 3 days later, on December 11, 1941, Hitler and the Nazis declared war on the United States. This brought the United States into both sides of the war. They would be fighting in the Pacific and also in Europe.